I'm sure a lot of you must have seen the ads that came in TV and in press as well. Just to give you some data, 6,000 calls we got on the call center, 40,000 website hits. And at the end, when we thought that our overall cost would be slightly higher than the bank because of the advertisements, etc., because of the high response, and we actually finished the product much before our subscription period, the actual cost was almost the same as bank borrowings. And starting this year, when we do subsequent issues, the cost will start actually coming down, and it will be actually lower than bank borrowings. Some data for you, for those who are interested. Most of the money came from the 3 big cities, Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad, and 80% came from people above 40 years of age, which is not very surprising. That's when you start thinking about saving money. In terms of occupation, it's a bit mixed, the businessmen, professionals, as well as housewife as well. So, as I was mentioning, based on the success of the first issue, we are now planning to raise subsequent issues. Hopefully, we'll get one sometime next month, and then we'll follow it up with another one. Right now, the one we are doing is simple replication of the first one, but we're getting a lot of feedback on, for example, an Islamic product, because there's a certain pool of investors who only invest in Islamic products. So we are in the process of developing that as well. And also we want to target the non-resident. We got a lot of talk about home remittances, so that could be one area which we want to target upon. So basically new markets as such. Thank you, and happy to take any questions on this.
मेरा नाम बिलाल अहमद है. आई एम वर्किंग एज CFO ऑफ अ टेक्सटाइल कंपनी. आपने 3 साल का फिक्स ये जो रिटर्न आपने दिया है, आपने ये प्लान कैसे किया अगर ये काइबोर्ड नीचे जाता है, इंटरेस्ट रेट नीचे जाते हैं? ऑब्वियसली अभी उम्मीद तो नहीं है इंटरनेशनली, लेकिन अगर ये नीचे जाते हैं तो आपने अपने आप को सिक्योर कैसे किया? क्योंकि पीछे हमने BOP की एग्जांपल देखी, उन्होंने हाफ फुल ईयर का उन्होंने इन एडवांस दिए और उसके बाद प्रॉफिट रेट नीचे चले गए, तो BOP वाज स्टक बैडली.
Sorry, who was?
बैंक ऑफ पंजाब.
अच्छा, ओके.
वो बड़ा बैडली स्टक हो गया. एडवांस में उन्होंने दे दिए रिटर्न अपने 15% पे, और देन जो है काइबोर्ड केम डाउन. हाउ डू यू सिक्योर योर कंपनी in the event if Kaibor goes down or any other uncertainty, because it's a fixed market?
जी, हमने ये देखें प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन किया था रिटेल के लिए, और आपने बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट रेज किया. लेट मी एम्फसाइज दिस. जो रिटेल इन्वेस्टर होता है ना, ही इज मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन गेटिंग अ फिक्स्ड मंथली अमाउंट और 6 monthly अमाउंट, रादर देन ये काइबोर वगैरह जो है इंडिविजुअल्स को समझ में नहीं आती बात ये. So that was how it was designed, from stepping into the shoes of a retail investor, कि वो क्या चाहता है, right? तो उसके लिए तो fixed is the best, because obviously उसको पता है कि जी हर 6 महीने मुझे इतने पैसे मिलेंगे तो मैं इसी तरह से खर्च कर सकता हूँ. जहां तक हमारी बात है ना, वो तो एज ए कॉर्पोरेट रनिंग फुल टाइम ट्रेजरीज को हमें हेज करना कोई इशू नहीं है. बिकॉज पहली बात तो ये है कि अगर हमारी टोटल बोरोइंग एज अ ग्रुप, फॉरेन करेंसी भी है हमारी कोई $400-500 मिलियन, कोई 60-70 बिलियन लोकल करेंसी है, तो 4 बिलियन, और अगर हम सब्सिक्वेंटली कर लें तो एज अ वेटेड एवरेज हमें कोई ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. बट वी मेक कॉल्स ऑन इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इन एनी केस, हमारे लाइबोर काइबोर के ऊपर. तो if you can always, through the interbank market, through treasuries, do a reverse swap and convert the fixed into floating when we think Kaibor is going down. So those tools are available to any corporate treasury in any case, but for this we haven't not hedged it because we think filhal to stable rahenge.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Arslan, and I'm working in the United Nations, Islamabad. Although I'm not in the corporate sector, but still I have this question. Anglo is a very big name and had a credit rating of AA as well. But for new investors coming into market and trying to raise equity or raise funds, would this kind of solution be possible for them?
For a new entrant?
Yeah. For a new or for a very growing entrant who has been there in the industry for, let's say, 10 years, not for long.
नहीं, देखें ये the short answer is no, but देखें जो smaller companies हैं या even 10-year history वाली, Obviously, a bank is a much better avenue simply because they will be able to analyze your business, look at what your growth areas are, and able to maybe structure a package which is, securing themselves at the same time taking care of your. I would say there are maybe 20-25 such companies in Pakistan who can do this simply because you have to be a slightly household name to be able to, have that trust in the name in the public for you to actually invest. Rating obviously is there, it helps, but it has to be कि इतने सालों से business कर रहे हैं, it's a known name and so on and so forth before you would invest in that. So for your specific situation, I think a bank would be a better choice, I guess.
Ji, Rohit Saab, my question is on the sort of the flip side, which is the deployment of the funds. So you raised 4 billion from the market.
Right.
What have those funds been deployed on? And how are the cash flow structure that you would be able to make a bullet payment at the end of 3 years and it's not a redeeming structure? So these are some questions that I had.
Ji, the first funds last year were actually invested in 2 of our subsidiaries, fertilizer and foods, which were in the growth phase as such. The subsequent ones will actually be replacing existing debt as such. So, when the cost is lower, you can simply replace that. But the sources of fund for repayment are actually 2 or 3. First of all, we have at least one listed company, Polymer. I'm talking from a security perspective. We are hopefully, inshallah, will be listing a couple of others like food fertilizer. So in case there is a unplanned call, one can always pledge those shares, raise money and repay that, or even do a repo in case it's required. The other one is that a lot of these loans will be giving as subordinated loans to those subsidiaries. So those can repay those loans back for the repayment. And these are basically for unplanned. But for planned, if one can actually pan out the cash flows as when the repayments are and plan your repayments from those subordinated loans which you've given to subsidiaries accordingly so that the cash flows are matched.
But primarily these are used for expansion of the foods and the fertilizer business.
Right.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Yasir. My question is basically how you are educating a retail customer towards the credibility. Because if you are targeting a person who is investing in the defense saving certificates or the national saving certificates, he is not good enough to know about the AA credit rating. He don't believe simply in normal private sector banks even. That's why he is investing in the defense saving certificates. What is your what is your strategy to attract him and to educate him about this, that you are good enough credit rating and he should invest in you?
Well, first of all, I don't necessarily agree about the NSS. In my opinion, an investor who has slightly longer term funds, like 3 years or more, he goes into NSS, and because the rates are better. But if he has short term liquidity, then he would go to banks, and he may choose higher rating banks, but he wouldn't avoid banks altogether.
No, sir, I'm talking about basically education of a retail customer.
जी मैं आ रहा हूँ उसके तरफ. So I was just answering one part of your question, that you said that those don't even go to banks, but they actually do. That's what our research shows. But for us specifically, the way we have done it is that in the rural areas, although a lot of money didn't come from there, our brand is very well known as Engro. And once we've come into the food sector, a lot of people probably know that Allpers and Amore, etc. are, so that's one linkage there. But what we tried to do was, we had these retained channels, banks like MCB or Standard Chartered, they actually went out. So it's actually a push and pull type of strategy, where we had an advertising campaign going, which created the awareness. And when someone is very interested and has a slightly sizable amount, then those retail channels would play their part in explaining what the company is all about, what the rating means, and why they should be investing, and what the features of the product are.
I'm really sorry, I do know there are lots of questions. You're always a very popular speaker. Please give Raheel Mohammed a very big round of applause. And if I can also put my 2 cents in, I've followed the Engro story for a very long time. You have an excellent CIO who does great work at kind of controlling and making your product and services more efficient. Next, This gentleman has a lot of responsibility on his shoulder.